Hello, this is Wes at Bad Seed Games, and today we're going to talk about the basic variables in Unity 3D's Playmaker add-on. Now, if you don't know about Unity yet, all you have to do is go to unity3d.com, and there you can download the software for free, or if you'd like to take a look at what they've got in their gallery, or maybe even check out their support page where they have a wealth of information, including a community that is thriving. Okay, so let's get to it. Now, first thing you need to do is, if you haven't done so already, go into the window menu and then the Asset Store, and then you just search in for Playmaker, and there it is. Now, it is $95, but it is well worth it because it is a very flexible program. However, if you've already purchased it but you haven't yet added it to your project, just go here, click Import, and it'll re-add it to your project. Now, in this scene, I have set up an empty game object that I've titled Variable Holder. All it's going to do is just to show you all these variables. Now, the first one is a float. Basically, what a float is, it's a number. Now, it can hold a decimal point, as you can see here, and an integer, or an int, is pretty much the same as a float, except the only difference is it cannot do a decimal point. And if you listen, there it is. No matter how many times I press the decimal point, it won't let me add it. Next one is a Boolean, which is basically a simple yes/no or true/false statement. Next up is a game object. Now, a game object, you can use it to store a game object in your scene. You can either drag and drop it, or you can assign it with various actions. Next is a string. This is a block of text where if you wanted to say, for example, hello world, or game over, or player 1 wins, or something like that, this is what you would use for that. Next in line is a vector2 variable. It contains two float variables, and that means you can have decimal points on them. And these denote coordinates in the xy plane. Usually it's x going from the left to the right, and y going from the top to the bottom, if you're looking at the screen space. Otherwise, it'll just do it in your world space. Next is a vector 3, same as vector 2, except it has the z-axis, which is for depth. Next is color, pretty straightforward. If you click on the box, you'll bring up the color picker, where you can choose a color, or you can control it by the various sliders on the bottom, and you can even have control of the alpha. The alpha is basically the transparency. So if, for example, you wanted something to be partially see-through, this is what you would control it with, the alpha. Next would be a rect, or a rectangle. Now, this is usually used for graphical user interfaces to define an area, which would be a location of x and y, which is x across the top, y going down, and the width and the height. Now, all four of these variables can handle decimal points, so that's just something to know. Next in line is the material. In the material, you can basically create any material and then drag and drop it. Such as this. Pop that in there. And there you go. Now, a texture is associated with the material, but it's a little bit different. The texture itself will handle the driving parts. So, for example, if you have a texture, like a diffuse map in here, you can control it with a texture variable. Now, there are two more variables, a quaternion and an object. Now, these are more advanced variables and should be covered in a future video. And that's pretty much it. I hope I've answered some questions, and if you like what you see here, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. Have a good one.